Welcome to our podcast, Sisters Not Wives. I am your host, Jocelyn Hatch.
And I'm Kinsley Hatch, and this is our podcast exploring Mormon polygamy, the history of it from female perspectives. Okay, so this episode is going to be a little different today because we've been talking, and do you want to say it?
What was my cue?
I'm just joking. I'm trying to make it sound like an announcement of some kind.
Oh, yeah.
No, I don't have the time to research so much. Just kidding.
That's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work, but also we want it to be more interactive, and I feel like sometimes I'm just yammering away, and I want to make sure to hear from you more. And I thought it would be fun since we have both the history and the things we're diving into, but also we have all these shared life experiences of being sisters and also growing up in a super unique way, not just growing up in Utah, not just growing up in the church, but sisters who are in a very conservative, homeschooled Mormon community in Utah. And there's honestly a lot of hilarious stories at that. So we're going to switch every other episode talking about the history and diving into those more serious topics. And then every other episode keeping it more light and diving into like the modern day stories of as sisters, what we've experienced.
Yeah. And I think it would be very interesting to hear from other people too. Like if they've had similar experiences or what their experiences have been. Or what else was I gonna say? Or just like, yeah, some of the comments that we see,
Yes,
I some of those too.
I love it when people talk about their own experiences in the church, leaving the church, faith crises, faith transitions, or honestly just the funny, goofy experiences we all face in the shared culture. In either, in so many different multiple situations, there's really cool stories, really heartfelt stories, really funny stories. And so I think that's another thing to kind of talk about that and hear other people's stories as well and connect on that way. So So today we decided to talk about 5 stories of what it was like growing up in a Mormon homeschool community in Utah. So the first one is there were a lot of rules in our family and in our community and in our cousin's family and in our friend's family. Oh, one thing that I love, which I actually love that our mom did this because it was, she was trying to change the verbiage and not clip our wings. But I love how she, when kids broke the rules or whatever, a punishment was they got grounded, right? Well, my mom didn't like that terminology, grounded. It was like, that feels so limiting. And instead, honestly, it was pretty progressive of her. She's like, you're not grounded. You lost your privileges. Which was hilarious because it turned into a little bit of fiasco when we were talking to our friends because they're like, can you play? We're like, no, we lost our privileges today.
So you're grounded? No. We lost our privileges.
Did I stutter? And they were like, so grounded.
You might get grounded.
Yeah.
I don't.
In your pathetic little household. We have higher laws here. But I love that. What are the rules, or I guess for you, what are some of the rules that you remember growing up as a kid, as a teenager?
Well, no music, TV on Sundays, no playing with friends on Sundays. But also we had the rule too, this is actually kind of funny, because we had the rule for a while where we couldn't listen to music unless it was church or classical, except on the weekends.
Yeah, during the week we couldn't listen to anything.
Yeah, anything else. And that was miserable.
I think that was because we were fighting over which CDs.
Well, I think I was just playing music all the freaking time.
It was probably both.
Schoolwork or anything too.
Yeah.
But I do remember one time, Mom had gone somewhere and she came home. It was like in the middle of the week, and she was like, "I have a confession to make. I've listened to music today."
Oh, I know. That's the thing. Our mom was fair. She held herself to those same standards, and she was really trying to do what was best. She did not grow up in a super religious household, and so she was really in it, and I think felt like a lot of the things that happened to her, or maybe things she didn't like about her childhood or growing up, could be fixed if she was just like perfect and raised her kids perfect in the church. She put a lot of pressure on following the rules and doing what was right, which good for her, and she was very involved, and she held very high standards for us, but also herself. And yeah, she was I don't remember that. The fact that she confessed to you, she's like,
she didn't lose her privileges, though. I will just say that.
What?
She didn't lose her privileges for doing that, though. I will say that.
So that was a big one, and that was kind of unusual. A lot of people, it wasn't music. There's lots of rules with like movies and stuff. Like obviously there's the traditional like Mormon rules of no watching R-rated movies and don't watch PG-13 movies until a certain age. And then us, it was very we were more strict than other people. We wouldn't even watch cartoons if they were PG because and it wasn't so much about the content, it was more about the principle of no cartoon should be PG.
Right.
And so standing up against that.
Yeah, Mom definitely was like kind of a trailblazer about standing against things. So she's still that way.
She is. She's all about fighting the man. And so anything that she felt like very principle based, which was good. Like she always quoted the quote from Joseph Smith that said, I teach them correct principles and they govern themselves. And so she was very much about taking a stand based on principles and living a life based on principles, which sometimes made things very black and white in a lot of ways. It's so funny because we took such different paths. I feel like it was way too strict for you and you rebelled about it and you're like, I want to live.
What's crazy too, though, is even my rebellion was not that crazy.
It was not compared to a lot of people.
I didn't sneak out till I was like almost 18. I mean, that was probably the worst thing I did.
Right.
I didn't drink or do any drugs or anything crazy.
Right. Like a lot of teenagers won't get into.
I just wanted to watch R-rated movies sometimes. And listen to my music that swore.
Yeah.
So it's so terrible.
Yeah, it was. But the sad thing for you
is
wear lots of
eyeliner.
Huh?
I wear lots of eyeliner.
Yeah, that was something that shook the community too. It wasn't just our family with lots of makeup, because I don't think Mom, like, she had rules about ages of wearing makeup, but I don't think did she ever try to like stop you from wearing a lot of makeup?
Not really.
Yeah, I don't think that was really a big issue for
thing.
her.
I think when I turned like 13 or 14, they gave me some makeup and
the thing is, you were an OG makeup artist, you know, like when back in the day when like the people who've gotten really famous off of makeup started YouTube videos, you were watching those videos and you were learning how to do makeup, whereas all the rest of us were just out there suffering. And so like it's so funny how people were like, oh, she's wearing too much eyeliner, but then they're like, can you do my makeup? You know? It's like, well.
Learned how to do a smoky, blue smoky eye on YouTube, and then that's the same look I did on everybody. I thought it was gorgeous.
I mean, the smoky eye is a classic.
Right.
And also, everyone else was like, yes, please, you know? And it was just... That is one thing that I feel like you were really creative in a lot of ways. And I feel like sometimes when you're so strict, it kind of stunts creativity, you know? And so I feel like even though people were like judgmental when you wore a lot of makeup, they like, the worst thing they could call it is like, they were like, it's so emo, you know?
Well, I mean, that wasn't like, I wanted to be emo. I grew up in the emo phase.
Right. That was popular back then. All the 2000s, like punk rock bands and the style.
I didn't care being called emo. I was like, yes, I made it.
I never do that. I guess because I was hearing people say that and it was in a negative context. I was like, that's so interesting that you're like,
yeah.
Which is good for you. You're rebelling. Whereas me getting two shoes, I hear people be like, Jocelyn looks so emo today. And I was like, and I didn't like their tone. I was like, it's just makeup, you know? But I'm so glad that you were having the, like, good, I want to be a rebel experience, because I was stressing about that. But, I was, like, upset and also, like, that's unfair, but also, like, yeah, whatever. But, so one of the other what I was saying, though, was the bummer for you is you did not have a partner in crime with me.
No, I did not.
You had the opposite. You had like a rule enforcer and like, yeah, I not only could I like literally was like, okay, here's mom's rules, which are really strict and honestly in a lot of ways stricter than a lot of our friends, even people in the same community. But I was like, and now let's take it one step further, you know? And
Yeah,
so
for
like
real.
when I was in teenager up to my early 20s, I was like, I won't watch any movies that have more than 3 swear words. And like, I was like so goody two shoes because I feel like it's the one thing that was good. Mom wasn't like a dictator like a lot of people in religious families who have really strict rules are.
Yeah.
I feel like I hear a lot of religious families who have like really strict dads or something. They're like, you have to do this because I said so, or because it's in the church, or because it's right. And I feel like mom really did try to teach us like the why behind things and the principle behind things. And I was in it. I was like, I totally agree. And
Like, I understand to my core.
Yeah. And I just like went full force into it. And it was very principle based and like deep thinking about every decision and be like, oh, and it did make it really black and white. It's like, oh, well, if this is that, then I'm not even going to pretend like even get close to the appearance of this thing, you know? And so, that was not great for you. As you were trying to explore and it had wanted to do more, I was like, nope. In fact, we should have less. And so one of the things, but also I had a raging amount of guilt about everything. And so that was also a motivator.
It could not be great.
Yeah. But one time, that's the thing, you were such a good persuader, though. And we were still really close, and I always looked up to you. And, like, I honestly have you to thank that I'm not scared of water. Because,
oh, really?
Yeah, because all my life I've been scared of water. And when I was a little kid, I was scared of water. Wow.
Tim just
I'm not a
threatened to
bat
throw a water bottle
with
at him.
rabies. But
I didn't know that.
yeah. Well, I never really told anyone, but as a little kid, I remember being really scared of water and really scared of the deep end. And of course, it was the most logical reason for being scared of water, which in the pools and stuff, I was scared there was going to be sharks that would eat us. That was a legitimate fear. I'd be like,
Yeah.
shark! I'd be like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But anyway, but because I loved you so much and I wanted to do everything you were doing, I was such a mimicker of everything you did. You loved the pool and you loved swimming. So from a very young age, you were always in the pool. So I was like, I have to be in the pool because Jocelyn's in the pool. So it's so good. Like there were so many things that I did that I would have let fear stop me, that because of you, and you were my older sister and I adored you, I was like, oh, I have to do it because she's doing it. And so that was great. But so a lot of times I had this extreme personality where I was very black and white, and I like was really into the rules and really into principles. And it wasn't just like, and I was like reading my scriptures every day from a very young age and reading all these books, and like it just, for some reason, it appealed to my personality in that way. But there is always the part of you who wants to have fun and a good time. And like FOMO, right? And so I felt like you were the master at FOMO.
I used your own FOMO against you.
You knew it was there. You just had to bring it out in me. And so I remember one time we were over at our cousin's house and they had those old little DVD players that looked like a tiny little laptop, but it was only for DVDs. And you like open it up and put a DVD in.
So small.
Screen. I know, it's crazy. But those were the shiz back then.
Good
those
parent.
were so
you can watch
cool.
a movie anywhere.
I know. And so our cousin had one and we were in her room and you were like, let's do it. Let's watch Pirates of the Caribbean.
PG-13, guys.
The thing is, I think you and our cousin were 13.
Probably.
But I would have been like 10.
Yeah.
And so it was okay that you guys were watching it, but I couldn't. So I mentioned that point. I was like, I can't watch it. It's against the rules. And you were just like, well, me and Maddie are old enough, so I guess you can leave the room then.
And you were like, what?
I was like, dang it. I really want to see. Everyone's been talking about it. And we do have this very
convenient. It was very popular at the time.
It was all the rage.
Poppin'.
Yes. And so I was like, I'll just stay here for a couple of minutes.
So I think you were like standing in the corner, like watching it.
Like I wanted to sit down on the bed. I was just like,
but you're like,
yeah,
on the tiny little screen.
in my mind, that was a way that I was like, I'm totally gonna leave, but I really actually wanted to see what it was about. And so we started watching it, and we didn't get that far in. The lights were off, and the DVD was on the bed, and you guys were on the bed, and I was in the corner. And then,
I think you eventually moved to the corner of the bed.
Okay. Slowly,
I feel like you
my way
did.
closer, which tracks. And so
that's what Satan does, Kinsley.
Slippery slope.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then randomly, Mom comes into our room, and of course she doesn't knock, but she just opens up the door, and I am like, ah! But you are like so cool. You're like, throw a blanket over the DVD player, and you're like, hey, Mom. And I'm like, oh my gosh. It was like the astronomer moment when the camera goes to them, and they're like, and they finally realized the reality of what they've been doing. That was me when Mom walked in. And so I was like, so I immediately get up from the bed, and I'm like pacing. I'm like, hi, Mom. And you're just like, you flipped it over so she can't see it. And you're just like, what do you need? And so, and
worried about you, no doubt.
Probably is I'm having a mental breakdown.
Gonna blow it.
And I did. Because Mom wasn't even suspicious because you guys played it off really well. And I guess she was not paying attention to my nervous energy. And so she was just like looking for something in her room. So she was just focused on like, oh, I need to grab this for our aunt or whatever. And then I was like, fine, we did it. Here it is. And I like tear off the blanket. I'm like, we were watching Pirates of the Caribbean. And she was like, I can't really remember her reaction, but I remember your reaction. And you were like, oh my gosh.
Dude, for real. It's sad because I always wanted you. I wanted you to like do things with me, but at the same time, I was like, I had to choose that risk of like if you were gonna flip or not, you know?
Yeah, it was a dangerous line.
Or how long I could like really test your boundaries, because sometimes I could get you to go along with something for so long, and sometimes I could get you to go along with something and then not tell, but just by your own moral compass stop. So it's really had to weigh quite a bit of options there.
There's definitely a lot of calculations going into including me.
Yeah, we always joke that the scene from The Office, the "Why are you the way that you are?"
with Toby and Michael Scott,
the epitome of mine and Campbell's childhood.
100%. So yeah, that was one where the rules, and that's just like the tip of the iceberg of so many interactions of that kind of thing happening. Mm-hmm. You're trying to bend the rules or explore different things, and I'm like either totally against you or I'm having a panic attack because I'm engaging, but then I feel an immense amount of guilt. So that was when we were younger. And then let's see. So story number 2 was also at our cousin's house, where like every cool kid, we had action figures. And they were Book of Mormon action figures.
Yeah.
And so,
where the crap did they even get those?
I don't even know. That must have been like a specialty. What?
I just remembered I used to have tiny little Bible figurines.
I forgot about those.
I know. I just have like a weird flashback.
Dang.
I loved them because they were so small. They were very detailed.
They were. Were they actual Bible, or were they like Roman soldiers and we made the Bible in our heads?
It could have been that.
Yeah. You never know.
It wasn't specific, but they were dressed like that, very old-timey and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I wonder if they were, or if we just... That was the stories we knew, so we were like, okay, this is who they are.
Yeah.
But, so... Me, being the personality I was, I always wanted to play Nephi, and I did play Nephi, and then our cousin was like Sam, and you were like Laban and Lemuel, and so one day...
If you know me, I had to be the main character in every game that we played.
But Nephi's the main character.
Mm-hmm.
And so one day, Jocelyn got fed up with it, and you were... What did you tell me? We were like about to play.
We were playing. We had been playing. I think.
Yeah, I think so.
And I was like, enough of this. I'm being Nephi. You're an annoying Nephi.
Yeah! And that struck me to the core. I was like, I'm an annoying Nephi. I'm doing a perfect representation of Nephi. You're going to mess it all up. But that really offended me because you never really said anything like that to me before. And you had enough. And I was like, I am not playing anymore, which I never did. I always played with you, even if you were making the rules. But that time I was like so offended.
Yeah.
And so I was like, fine, you guys can play by yourself then. And so then I went and like, I don't know. Remember those banana chairs we used to have? Probably like we don't have a dad chair. I was like, what do they fit down? But anyway, I went and did my own thing. And then you guys probably didn't play for very long after.
We didn't. I don't think we did.
It's not fun if you don't have an annoying phone.
I guess not.
Just kidding. But anyway, what happened after that? Because I was gone.
Oh, yeah. So then me and Maddie went, and I think we decided to play Peter Pan on the trampoline, and we're just jumping on the trampoline, and then I jumped, and I think I stumbled or something, and I fell off and broke my arm, broke my elbow.
Right. In like a horrible way. Like you literally broke the tip of your elbow.
Yeah, I like straightened it out, and then it snapped the tip off. But that was hilarious because our cousin, I was like yelling at her to go get mom, but she was just in shock. She was like
on the trampoline looking down at you.
Yeah. She sat there for probably, like, I kid you not, at least like a minute.
Oh my God.
Like, no exaggeration.
Yeah.
It took a lot.
You were like, go get mom.
I was like, Maddie, please go get mom. And finally she did. But anyway, so broke my arm. They're trying to figure out hospital stuff. Resume to your side.
Yeah, I wasn't there, which I was always there with you. And so the fact that I go upstairs and I didn't even see you, they'd already taken you to the hospital at that point. I was like, what's happening? And they were like, Jocelyn and Maddie were jumping on the tramp and she broke her arm. And I was like, and it made me so sad. And I was like, oh my gosh, I wasn't even there. And she broke her arm. And like,
when you should have been like, karma beat.
I know. But no, I felt so sad because I didn't even get to see you leave, you know? So I was just so worried about you. I had no idea what really had happened. And I was like, and that was the first time like you or anyone close to me had been broken a bone. And so that was like really traumatic. I was like, oh my gosh, she's going to the hospital. And so I like literally, like, I think the cousins were watching Lady in the Trap downstairs. And I think like mom and dad went with you. So I was left there. I was like, I was like so sad. And I just like went downstairs. They were watching Lady and the Tramp. And it was the worst scene to go down there because it was the Siamese cats coming. And I was like, this is horrible.
Oh man. So, you know what? I will say this though, even though we talked about like this dynamic of like I think that's what's interesting about our sisterly dynamic is that we were kind of opposites in a lot of ways, but we were like best buddies.
Yes.
And even though we were very opposite, so there was like a little bit of like blah blah blah, but there wasn't a whole lot of like crazy fighting or anything when we did disagree. It was just kind of like
yeah, it was more just like butting heads, but it never turned into fights
or like serious resentment or anything. Just kind of like understood it was the way that it was,
right? Like,
and and I was gonna say the other thing too is that what was I gonna say? Something about just how you might not have thought that the things that I were doing were best. But out of anybody, you would defend my honor no matter what.
That is true. Remember the zucchini incident?
The zucchini incident.
We were picking zucchini.
Oh, yes. That's actually exactly what I was thinking about. Some guy called me Chick. He said, hey, Chick, blah, 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 blah. And Kensley was fuming. How dare this boy call me Chick? That is so disrespectful. You were fuming about it the whole rest of the day, the whole walk. So we were working on a farm and we were picking vegetables. And that's when that happened. And then we walked home. And the walk home was probably like
a mile
and a half. And the whole walk home, because like, the audacity. Like,
so I remember because we were by each other.
And I really didn't understand why you were mad, but I was like, oh, she's mad about it.
I like, because I was so black and white and I was just like so strict and so like conservative, I guess, in a lot of ways. Just those kind of things made me so mad.
And you were just a little feminist right from the beginning.
Yeah.
Call people
and he's like,
shit.
hey, Chuck, can you do that? Blah, blah, blah. I don't know. And so like we were down picking zucchinis. You were on one row closer to them and I was on another row. And then I hear that and I was like, I like stood up and I was like, what did I just hear?
Talking to?
I know.
My
so
sister.
angry. Yeah, so I remember the whole day I was like
just fuming.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You always had my back too. Like
Mhm.
I feel like I would have meltdowns and you'd be like, I don't understand why this is such a big deal, but I will sit through it with you.
Yeah. Or if other people were trying to do things that I knew you were not going to, I'm like, Kensley's not going to want to do this.
Yeah, you're like, I'm just going to set the boundaries.
Tell you that right now.
Well, even in college, remember that one time when it was from our homeschool community, but we were a college age now.
Mm-hmm.
And this one guy had asked me on a date from the homeschool community. So we had gone on a couple dates. And this girl who is a part of our homeschool community who randomly went to the same college as me started saying things like creating rumors around their little
I was like
older homeschool group, thinking it wouldn't ever get back to me. She was saying that. What did she say?
I think she said that she was at a party with you and got high or drunk or something.
Yeah, like we got high together.
Yeah.
We smoked weed and got high together.
Yeah.
Which, because that was kind of more what their group did.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they would do that, so that was normal. But I was going on dates with that guy, so she told that whole group that me and her had gone to a party. And I would have never known about that. I guess I'm kind of rounding this out. But oh well. But you found out about it because you had connections. So people down the grapevine told you, and then you told me.
Mm-hmm. And the people who were there when she said that.
Yeah. And first of all, it's just a weird thing to say. I don't know, just because I was going on a couple dates with that guy. Like, I don't understand why. I don't get the point of saying that.
Right.
I don't get what her intention was behind that. But it was just weird because we were in a lot of classes together. It's not like we were both in college together, but like we were in the same department and studying the same subject. I
even knew that.
Oh, really? Yeah. I was on a dance team with her. And like we had a lot of same classes. And so once I found out about that, I was like...
Yeah, and I was thoroughly bugged when I found out about it. I was like, Kensley, if you know Kensley, and like keep in mind, I'm a part of this group that like did all those things.
Yeah.
But I was like, Kensley would never do that. And you were not going to spread around false information. Like,
yeah, because I think the person who told you was like, did you hear about this? And you didn't even have to talk to me. You were like, no, immediately no. You know, like Kensley would never do that in a million years. And you like set it straight and you like told them that, like, I already know. And of course it was not. It's just, first of all, wild story because I had never even gone to a party like that with her. So it's like, and then to say that we got high, never got high in my whole life. I don't know. It's just like a bunch of weird.
It's weird. Just why lie about that.
Yeah, just a straight up lie. Yeah, I don't get it at all. But you just had my back and immediately knew me and immediately knew, like, nope, that's not true. And I'm going to put it in place. And I wouldn't have anyone normally to defend me about people saying stuff like that because I wouldn't even know people were saying stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I confronted her. And then her response was the most hilarious response I've ever heard about confronting someone about spreading a rumor about you. So I like sent her a message and told her what for. And she's like, I never said that. The last time I was talking about you was like 2 weeks ago. And it was about something. She said it was about something else. I was like, random. Why would you admit that you were talking about me at all?
That's so funny.
It was so weird. But
tell me you're lying.
I know. Yeah. So that was really weird.
And I think the person that told me regretted telling me because I was like, no.
Right. But well, that's the thing. You were more a part of that circle and you were like cool with those kind of things. But like when that happened, you were like, no, you know. And so sisterhood is stronger than anything else. So
that really is.
Yeah. And then, yeah, so that was in college. But going back, so growing up homeschooled, do you want to describe what it was like socially with the co-op and like kind of that whole
man, how do you even explain co-op?
People get so confused when we say like we hung around other homeschoolers and we went to a co-op, whatever that means. So like,
yeah, I think one of the weird things for people too is the age ranges.
Mm-hmm.
It was like 12 to 18.
Yeah.
So you could like, I always had like way older friends than me until I was the older kid. Then I had all these younger friends.
Yeah.
That was kind of an interesting dynamic. Yeah. I think not a lot of teenagers experience.
That's true. I never even thought about that. It was like high school, like senior in high school, all of junior high, and the older part of
elementary,
middle school or elementary.
Elementary.
I
Wait,
don't know.
we were
homeschooled.
homeschooled.
We don't know. Anyway, so proceed.
Oh, so I think just that was an interesting dynamic to begin with. So we have like a bunch of classes. We had like, I remember when I started, I had Key of Liberty, which was like Revolutionary War. Then we had like a choir class, like a music choir class. We had, what was it? Sword of Freedom, Shakespeare, TJYC, which was Thomas Jefferson
Youth certification.
And then like a few random classes here and there.
Yeah, we'd have some math classes,
random
projects.
So we would go to this co-op once a week and go to these classes, and it was good. It was good for homeschool kids.
100%, because it was only once a week. It was on Thursdays, and you had to be 12 to start. So it's kind of an exciting time being homeschooled. Be like, yeah, I'm 12. I've like graduated into being social, like with my group of peers. And it would be like a bunch of homeschoolers from around the area came together to have these classes. And it was so fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like you've got like a good variety of people, but I feel like mostly a lot of people were very conservative, very religious, even if they weren't like Mormon, they're very, very Christian. Like it was very much like that. I remember like talking to my therapist about this and trying to explain this to her. One time I'd been seeing her for over a year, and she was like, "Wait, what?" Like, wait, what? You guys said what? What? And then she was like, yeah, your childhood and your teenagehood befuddles me. Like, this is so different.
Yeah.
This is so true.
It is so true.
But I didn't
so weird.
Like, I knew that it was different, but I'm like, oh yeah, I guess it was pretty
really
different.
Yeah. I feel that same thing. Like, being homeschooled, you automatically know you're different from everyone else. Like, obviously, the mass majority of people you know go to public school, and like, especially at church. Like,
and when we were growing up, it had a weird stigma around it too. It wasn't like post-COVID when a lot of people got homeschooled.
No, it was like you got homeschooled because you're getting bullied because you're a weirdo, and so your parents had to pull you from school. Or
because you're part of like a super religious household, or socially awkward and whatever.
Yeah, which technically we were a part of a pretty religious household.
Yeah,
but there were different kind of brands of homeschoolers too, and that was interesting. I feel like when I got older, I heard more about this, but obviously when you were just 12, you didn't really know about this. But it was ran like volunteers, moms, basically running it, and there was a lot of different types of moms. There was like kind of the leader who started it and developed the curriculum, and then there was like the local moms who would volunteer, and there was a ton of different types. Like there was definitely more the free-spirited type who like didn't believe in hardly any rules and was like kind of like free spirit in everything, and who didn't like organization or institutions. And there was always that theme with homeschoolers. All homeschoolers shared in not liking institutions, but there were some people who were really like, I don't even have a social security card, like different levels, and then there was the type of people who were like, who were very, I remember, strict moms who had pulled their kids from public school, but they were still very like
we always liked when the public school kids came.
What?
I feel like all the public school kids that came in were always fun. We always liked them quite a bit.
Yeah, that's actually true. It always felt like
from being like bullied to like being the cool kid in our era.
Yes, it felt like any scene from any Disney movie where it's introducing the cool kids. It's like everyone's like, Who's that? So, and that would happen periodically. Like parents would decide to take their kids out of public school and put them in homeschool. And so maybe they were whatever in public school, but in the homeschool community, they were new and had different experiences than the rest of us.
Yeah.
And so we were like, whoa.
So different.
Yeah. So, just really interesting having that dynamic at play. But with co-op, it was funny because the moms were very involved. The moms also taught the classes. Like, the parents taught the classes, and they would rotate who teaches what.
I taught classes. I taught Shakespeare.
Yeah, you did.
Multiple years and classical acting.
Yeah, and you directed plays. It was super cool. And you were in plays,
which was a really good experience.
Yeah, so many good things came from it. And we took public speaking classes. Like, a lot of adult skills were developed in the co-op, and it was really fun. And it allowed a social outlet for us, and we would do parties and movie nights and lots of things.
Yeah, let's explain one of our parties. This is some memories.
Okay.
That just popped up. Okay. There's this kid, I'm not going to say any names, but he was very social and made people feel uncomfortable quite often, and would often, I think he would kind of like, not physical fights, but would definitely, he just got on people's nerves, everybody. And then I had a picture pop up the other day in my memories from a homeschool party at our house where everybody had duct taped him to our mini trampoline.
I forgot about that. Oh my gosh.
And he allowed it. In fact, he probably loved it.
Yeah, I think he actually really liked it. I think he liked the attention. But that is hilarious. Oh my gosh, I forgot about that.
I gotta show you the picture. It's so funny.
Yeah, you have to.
Yeah,
that's the thing. Shenanigans were still happening.
Chaoticness.
Yeah.
Weirdness.
Okay, one thing though that even back then we were like, this is not good for our personal brand. There was a subset of homeschoolers who wore capes everywhere.
Oh gosh.
And we were like, this is not good for us. And it was really embarrassing as teenagers having friends, or not even like, yeah, they were friends, but like not necessarily best friends, but like friends in the community who
that if
were
we were all going out on an outing all together as a group,
we're going to the park
or
with
going
us. It's like, oh my gosh, say you're homeschooled without saying you're homeschooled, you know? And so that was a little bit of a struggle because a lot of us, and that's the thing, awareness levels were different with different homeschoolers. And so we had enough awareness to know that was weird AF. But at the same time, I will say, even though that was like so embarrassing for us and not a good brand for homeschoolers and what will you, I do think there is something sweet in the fact that these kids who probably honestly felt like it was a security blanket for them wearing a cape, that they could wear a cape and not get humiliated or not get bullied, you know?
Yeah, I think there definitely is, there's something to be over-shelteredness.
Yes.
On top of, I think, probably the way that we were educated too. Like, in being home all the time, having like your safety and kind of being like, you're allowed to be weird and you're allowed to be you in your house without having like that dynamic of public shame and embarrassment and bullying as much. And so like there's pros and cons to that for sure.
100%. Like, it's always good to develop social awareness. But at the same time, I think there is a lot of good in that, and a lot of time you get to spend like deciding who you are as a person and who you want to be, instead of like, there's so many people who I talk to who have been public school who are just terrified about being different because when you were different, you were picked out, you know, you were made fun of, or you were bullied, or you just didn't, like, you faced social repercussions by being different. And that's kind of the sad thing about school. It's almost like as a kid, if you're different at all, you get made fun of. And then once you start to become a teenager and you have different hobbies or different skill, like depending on what they are, sometimes that's where people start to be like, oh, actually, now that you're a teenager, it's what makes you different that makes you cool. But even more so as an adult, it becomes even more so that way. But as kids, a lot of times in public school and other situations, it is really like kids are scared to be different because they don't want to be made fun of, you know? So yeah, pros and cons definitely. But so there was that element. And then there was also the element of like strict rules in the community, like that followed very closely to, I feel like, Mormon standards, like modesty. Like, we had one really good friend who they I think the parents had grown up in the church, but they weren't active, and they hadn't raised their kids ever to be members. Is that right? No, they had. But anyway.
Yeah, they had a little bit right at the beginning.
Yeah, but never since they had joined the like co-op, the homeschool community, were they active LDS.
Yeah, I don't think so.
No, and so they had been, but they weren't, and had no intention of adding that.
In fact, this friend, when she wanted to piss her mom off, if they ever got in a fight on Sundays, she'd be like, "I'm going to church."
Which is hilarious. Like, the kids are going to rebel no matter what you teach them. So, yeah. So she would do that. But also, like, modesty was very big in our community. And it was, like, shorts, cap sleeves, like, shade shirts were all the rage. And very modest.
But don't you just be wearing your shade shirt. You better be wearing that.
We don't want to see no skin-tight clothes. We ain't Katy Perry. So, yeah. It's definitely, which actually the kids are wearing some of that stuff now. It's back a little bit.
What?
Yeah. Oh. The ugly 2000s fashion is back.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
Yeah. But
some of it's cute. Some of it's.
Yeah, I mean, everyone can do what they want. But, so it was very much like adhering to Mormon standards and pretty strict Mormon standards, because some people growing up in Utah, some people were like, oh, you can wear whatever you want. And then once you get married, you have to adhere to garment standards. But we were prepping. We were like, no, everyone dresses like you're currently wearing garments. And so, but I remember she tells this one story of how she was looking fly. She's probably like 13 or 14, our friend, the friend who didn't grow up LDS during that time. But she was like, heck yeah. I think she's wearing like a cute little shorter skirt or whatever it was. And she's like, I am ready to go. I am 13 and I am feeling myself. And the mom had to be like, okay, I think what you're wearing is fine, but you can't go to co-op like that. It will create too many problems. And so she made her go change.
This is so great.
I know, it's hilarious.
I went through a little phase too when I was like 13, 14, where I like bought some high heels. I had like 2 pairs of high heels and would do my hair. Like I figured out how to curl my hair a certain way, and then I had a skirt and I would wear my high heels, my hot pink high heels.
Yes, I remember that.
And my skirt everywhere.
I think we got those heels from Gen X. Or no, there's a store close right by Gen X. Yeah. Shoe store.
I think that's still around. It was like a super cheap shoe store.
Yeah, it was. But I remember those. And you would. And like, good. I think that's actually a great part of growing up, is feeling yourself and trying out different styles. And even if you look back, you're like, what was I doing? You need to go through that, you know? But
at least in that moment, you felt good.
Yeah, I think that's the important stuff. And style. Okay, that's the other thing. I feel like nowadays, like, being cringe is one of the worst things you can be. But honestly, you have to be cringe to get good at anything, to try a new skill, to do something that's going to be good for you, or even like try out new fashion.
Yeah.
And honestly, fashion changes all the time. So it's like,
or you could be the trendsetter.
Exactly. So but it was very much like adhering to those standards. And there is also a standard. So obviously, like, modesty ties into garments, which ties into temple, which is like obviously a part of the doctrine. But there's also the cultural aspect of like the strength for youth stuff, like don't dye your hair crazy colors, and like don't have more than one piercing, and don't have tattoos, and don't like wear. I can't remember all the old phrasings, but it was basically like be clean shaven, be clean looking, present yourself well.
Nothing skin tight.
Nothing skin tight. Like, don't do extremes. They mentioned that too. Like, don't do extreme looks. Which is,
wow. Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy to think about. But yeah, the Strength for Youth definitely used to say that. And then I would love to hear how you guys concocted the plan. Because one day, Jocelyn shows up with one of our guy friends with a day that threw everything into chaos.
Yeah. I don't even remember how. I think we just thought it would be fun to dress like super emo and to wear like our little emo clothes and put fake piercings on and do so much eyeliner. It was not even that crazy.
It wasn't.
We did eyeliner and we did fake nose rings.
Yes.
And that was it.
And black clothes. And maybe
black clothes.
like some holy jeans or something.
Yeah, something like that. And then we showed up to class, and I think I ditched like one of the classes. The poetry class or something. We were just hanging out instead. But one of the moms found out, and
the moms were losing it.
It was one of the moms who was like a little bit more of a high-strung mom, and she called all the moms, made sure to call his mom, call her mom, and I think our mom was like, okay.
Yeah, she's like,
I don't even remember really getting talked about it. I think Parker, oh shoot, I mean, Schmarker. I think he definitely got in trouble for it, because especially for him, he was a boy wearing eyeliner. A heck to the no.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah, I don't even remember what happened, but I remember people were like,
yeah, it created. I just know because we were in different classes because you were older than me, but I remember hearing about, like, at lunch, everyone was like, you know, and you were having a good time, and some of the cooler kids are like hanging around you, be like, this is kind of cool, you know
what? I did feel a little backstabbed though, because I think that was an awakening moment for me, and I went through a phase where I just wore heavy eyeliner all the time and big lashes and blah blah blah. I was just embracing the emo look as much as I could for a blonde kid who wasn't allowed to dye their hair black. But I was definitely loving the heavy eyeliner, but I do remember hearing about some of my friends being like, why didn't you wear so much eyeliner?
Yeah,
I was like,
I know.
Get it. You don't understand the voon.
You don't get it. You don't know.
I'm emo, okay?
Yeah. I know. It was interesting because, a lot of the older girls were, like, bugged by it. You know, they're like, but it's also like, girl, you can't even do your makeup, you know?
I know. I don't know why they were so bugged.
Yeah, I don't know why they were so bugged either. But I feel like sometimes that did happen when other girls were getting attention for whatever reason. All the other girls would be like,
yeah,
that's not very godly.
Yeah, instead of being like, what a slut. Like, or just like, she's not being very modest right now.
Yeah.
So it's like definitely still that same human nature, but.
Yes, but just different ways of expressing it, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So. Yeah, that was a funny day. It was crazy just seeing everyone's reaction.
It was funny too, though, because we chose to dress like that and we ditched class. So it was like,
right,
like the combo of the two things.
Yes, it was like, they are rebelling. Yeah, so it was too much.
Oh.
And then, so then. The other thing that we had going on in the co-op was this. Obviously, this is a really big thing in Utah, but this was like a crazy twist on. So ballroom is really big in Utah. Ballroom dancing is. You have the BYU team who goes to Blackpool and wins championships and is like one of the best. Blackpool's where the ballroom world championships are.
Oh, okay.
That's so the competitions in Blackpool, and they go and compete there. And then like UVU will go compete every other year, and like you have so many Utah dancers from Utah who have been on shows, and like dance is really big in Utah, but then also ballroom is such a specific form of dance, and it's extremely big in Utah. Like so many ballroom dancers will come to Utah because it's the place to be for ballroom dance.
Mm.
So, and it's funny because I've heard some people say like there's been Mormon influence over it, as to why ballroom, and like different things you could argue about like the male and female dancing dynamic or whatever. But for us, ballroom was also in our homeschool community, but in such an extreme different way that was on a whole other level of what ballroom is in general. So we had a lady who decided to teach ballroom classes as a part of one of the homeschool classes. And that one, you couldn't be 12. You had to be 14 before you could dance. And then you started dancing there obviously you're older than me, so you started dancing ballroom before
day
I
one
did.
of that program.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So then tell us your experience.
Oh, I mean, I didn't really have anything to report until later. So you go ahead and I'll jump
I just
in
wanted
my
to say that
experience
funny
later.
thing.
What funny thing?
We won't name names, but
Of the lady that taught the class.
Mm-hmm.
Shmishma.
We're not gonna name names, but it did rhyme. Yeah. No, go get. We'll be it. Okay, so you started ballroom first because you were older than me.
Yeah.
So talk.
I mean, yeah, the lady who started the class, I don't know if we should name names.
Yeah.
So we not. But it does rhyme with shmishma.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't really have anything to add until later on. Like it was fun. Like it was fun for me, except there was definitely weird things going on actually.
It was like
Hold on. I forgot.
Yeah, you go ahead.